What is going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? In these days, we find ourselves too often stuck with these questions on repeat. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? We grasp at signs and markers, articles of news and analysis, Facebook memes and forwarded emails as if the new zodiac, capable of forecasting all that life may yet bring our way as if we could prepare. As if life had ever made any promises of making sense or turning out the way we'd thought, as if we are not also actors in this still unfolding story. For this hour we gather to surrender to the mystery, to release ourselves from the needing to know, the learning to have it already figured out, and also the burden of believing we either have all control or none. Here in our song, in our silence, our story and our stones, we make space for a new breath, a new healing, a new possibility to take root. That is courage, forged in the fire of our coming together and felt in the spirit that comes alive in this act of faith, that we are creating it already, here and now. Come, let us worship together.
So y'all may remember the song of the month from last week. We're going to sing it in two parts. This side will go first, this side will go second, and then during the chorus we will all sing together. I invite you to rise as you are willing and able. Y'all follow me, with me. Good. Thank you. Courage,
courage,
my friend,
my
all together.
friend,
We will not be alone. We will
be with you
and
sing our spirit home.
just as
my friend, you will not be alone.
We will
be with you
and sing your spirit home. Freedom, my friend, you will not be alone. We will be with you and sing your spirit home. If not now, then when you will not be alone. We will be with you and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you will not be alone. We will be as one and sing our spirit home.
So welcome to the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge. My name is Nathan. I'm one of your ministers. To fill you in, and online folks, this is especially for you because I know we streamed and then stopped and then streamed again. The program that we use to give you online folks sound decided not to work. So both Lee and Vic were up there on the phone with Mike. I mean, there was a whole concerted effort to make this happen, and we're now good. So just pretend it's 10 minutes earlier. It's like we're getting you ready for daylight savings time. Here are the things for you to know. How do we do this? Let's go kind of after church today, and then we'll do middle hour, and we'll do what's coming up. At 1 o'clock today in, Kathy, what room? In the fellowship hall will be a family ministry visioning session. Not part of the strategic planning, but to really kind of talk through what the next steps in family ministry are or could be.
Mostly events. What events are we doing this year?
And mostly events. What events are we doing this year? See, I know all this right deep down in me. And then at 4 o'clock, a member of this church, Bobby Thompson, is the guest at the Baton Rouge Gallery. He's doing his poetry, so if you wanted to go to that, it's free, just to lift up our church members doing cool stuff. Today during middle hour, and there's also a Parents as Sexuality Educators class. So if you are a parent and you would like to be a part of this class, it's co-taught by our own Kathy Smith and an affiliate minister, a minister affiliated with this church, Reverend Sarah Green. They're doing it online. It's some sessions in the fall and some sessions in the spring, and you can sign up for that. There's a limit of 12, and we have 5. So I want you to be aware of that. Today, during middle hour, we have in room 5, the parenting support group. In room 6, we have Intro to Our Faith. And instead of being in room 7, the U.S. representative who represents some of you, Cleo Fields, has agreed to come here and answer whatever questions you may have about voting. This is the voting sub-team's special guest. Because we expect more people may show up, we're just going to have you meet in the sanctuary after the service. So if you would like to talk to one of the representatives, this is not a campaign event for him. This is not us endorsing him. This is just a conversation for you if you have questions. The other thing we are doing, starting next week, we are having 4 weeks of sin, not in the Mardi Gras style, but we'll have 4 Sundays talking about sin. Next Sunday, our own Cynthia Bryant and Leslie Grover are doing a service on the movie Sinners, and then we're going to have the Halloween service the week after, which will also be the weekend of the Halloween party. That is a lot. Glad you were with us. Come to me later, and I'll give you notes on the 800 things this church is doing.
I invite you to join me now in a spirit of prayer. Loving God, Spirit of life, mystery in which we live and move and have our being, draw near to us this morning and hear our prayers. We give thanks this morning for the opportunity to be here in this moment, vulnerable and open, for the chance to pause, to try to calm the anxious parts of ourselves. We gather this morning in hope for the world that could be, knowing that each one of us is an important piece, knowing that each person matters. May all who are seeking find what they need. May all who are struggling find a moment of peace. May all who are brokenhearted find a bit of healing. May all who need a space to be themselves find safety. For these things and those known only in the silence of our hearts, we pray. Amen.
Today we have a card for Christine Rodriguez, who has had surgery. She's doing fine, but we just want to send a little love to her. And also the Reverend Barber Carlson, who came out of this church and served in Bloomington, Indiana for a long time. She was memorialized yesterday at the Bloomington Church, and this church will memorialize her this Saturday at 10 a.m. So I wanted you to be aware and invite you to come. This ritual we have is open to everybody, whether you're in person or online. For the online folks, we invite you to type into the chat your stone. For the in-person folks, we invite you, and online folks, if you're watching this later, If technology lets you still, please do it. For the in-person folks, we invite you to come forward, take a stone, let it represent whatever you're carrying today, and place it in the chalice bowl. We now invite those who wish to come forward as we place stones. And we say together, with hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is the symbol of the power of love.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, through every land, by every tongue.
Wise ones say, we can be good enough and imperfect all at the same time. Wise ones say that we can listen to understand and not necessarily agree, and be moved by a truth that does not make sense to our lived experience. And let it change our world. They tell us also to raise up those who are trodden upon, to cultivate humility when the world would rather we grow certitude in our hearts. And wise ones remind us we can recognize that today and every day.
The benediction at my childhood church was the same, week after week. Have courage, hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. The words I now know but didn't then are biblical in root. And as a raised UU, there weren't always lots of rituals or words I knew by heart, so they became something I could hold on to. I've returned to them many times over the years, especially that first part, have courage, hold on to what is good. Courage is one of those concepts that is kind of nebulous. Some equate courage with a lack of fear. Some say to have courage is to be afraid and to move forward anyway, to do it anyway. In our culture, ideas of courage or bravery have too often been equated with military service, with patriotism, in a way that I think has made us believe that courage is something only some people have, instead of something that we all have to try to find at different parts of our lives. The common thread through all of these understandings is that to talk about courage also means we must wrestle and tangle with fear. What is it that scares us and why? To be courageous in our actions, words, and lives is also to name our fears. But fear is complicated. It lives in the animalistic part of our brain, sometimes beyond rational thought. We are afraid of all kinds of things, some that will most certainly happen, some that probably never will, and many things in between. Pema Chodron, a Buddhist nun who's written extensively about her experience with Buddhist teachings, writes, "No one ever tells us to stop running away from fear. We are very rarely told to move closer, to just be there. The advice we usually get is to sweeten it up, smooth it over, distract ourselves, but by all means, make it go away. We don't need that kind of encouragement because dissociating from fear is what we do naturally. We habitually spin off and freak out when there's even the tiniest hint of fear. We feel it coming and we check out." She continues, "Fear is a universal experience. Even the smallest insect feels it. We wade in the tidal pools and put our finger near the soft, open bodies of sea anemones, and they close up. Everything spontaneously does that. It's not a terrible thing that we feel fear when faced with the unknown. It's part of being alive, something we all share. We react against the possibility of loneliness, of death, of not having anything to hold on to. Fear is a natural reaction to moving closer to the truth. We might fear what people think of us. We could fear spiders, snakes, natural disasters. We might fear our bodies and our health failing. We might fear the loss of relationships with those we love. Loneliness. I think at our cores, we fear loneliness maybe most of all. At the root of so many of these fears is the feeling of change, loss, a lack of control. We fear not knowing, not controlling, not being able to plan, not being able to make choices about what might happen to us. Change, even change we want and welcome with all our heart, requires some loss and will come with glimmers of grief for what was. Some loss of the current reality, even if we think the change is for the better. Maybe even simple joys that we learn to look for in the midst of sorrow will turn out to be things we miss. Chodron describes courage as having an intimacy with fear. The other part of those special words, the holding on to what is good, is not so easy right now. We as humans are naturally inclined to focus on all that is wrong, all that we want to change, all that is not the way we wish it was, rather than to focus on the parts of this present moment that are okay, or good even. It is easy to lose sight of the good stuff because the problems feel so big. Adrienne Marie Brown writes, "We are socialized to see what is wrong, missing, off, to tear down the ideas of others and uplift our own. To a certain degree, our entire future may depend on learning to listen without assumptions or defenses." I don't think there's any one way to act in a way that's brave or courageous. It will mean different things to each one of us. For some, it might look like protesting in a public place, but not everyone can always do that. For others, it might mean rebuilding relationships that have been damaged in some way, even though taking that first step opens us up for rejection. And for still others, it might look like continuing to get up every day and trying to look for something good, something that nourishes us. I am a lover and collector of stories, and that's where I often return, to the idea that we didn't come this far alone, that people have done hard things before us and will do so after we're gone. I'm reminded of all the people who led movements for change, most of them who didn't think they could, who hoped someone else would be chosen, who wanted to give up at times. It was those people, women, people of color, gay and trans folks, who led movements for change that we now embrace, even though many of them would not see this change in their lifetimes. Often it is those with nothing left to lose that are most able to act with bravery. And sometimes to go on with life, To go on living for the world you believe in is the most courageous thing of all.
And sometimes to give the offering is the most courageous thing to do. This whole month we are sharing with the dialogues on race. Who here has facilitated a dialogue on race? Just Megan? We have I think at least 10 in this church who are facilitators or have at some point. Who has taken a dialogue on race course? Online folks, you're welcome to raise your hand. It was about half the church. You are always welcome to do this. This is not a program that came out of this church, but it was certainly incubated in this church. Some of the original founders of it were a part of this congregation, and a lot of the people who support this come out of this church. Dialogue on Race is an organization in Baton Rouge that allows people across different cultures and races and ethnicities to have discussions about systematic racism. And one of the phrases they've given me that has helped me is, according to Dialogue on Race, racism is prejudice plus power. So if you have a prejudice and you have the power to implement that prejudice, that is how to define racism. So that's always helped me as a concept. So I just want to offer you some of that. Online folks, there's ways to give online. In-person folks, you can do the online ways too, but someone's going to come down with a bursar. I'll ask you to give very generously as this morning's offering is gratefully given and received.
The 5 remembrances are teachings of the Buddha that he said everyone should contemplate. The 5 remembrances. Number 1, I am subject to aging. There is no way to avoid aging. Number 2, I am subject to ill health. There is no way to avoid illness. 3, I'm going to die. There is no way to avoid death. Remembrance 4, everyone and everything that I love will change, and I will be separated from them. And 5, my only true possessions are my actions, and I cannot escape their consequences.
Pema Chodron says, learning not to panic, that is the spiritual path. The wisdom we just heard from Buddhism reminds us of the impermanence of our being and of all of life. Reminders that everything dear to us and everything we know will change. There's no way to escape being separated from loved ones, the separation this change brings. And that our actions are like belongings we carry with us. They are the ground on which we stand. They have ripple effects that we are responsible for. These are things we all inherently know about being alive, but to lay them out like that, they are scary in a way, or painful sounding. I think this is what Chodron means about an intimacy with fear. to let in the things that scare us, acknowledge them, really walk through them one step at a time. We know that in life, eventually, things will fall apart. Children tells the story of her own falling apart like this. I remember so vividly a day in early spring when my whole reality gave out on me. It happened when my husband told me he was having an affair. We lived in northern New Mexico. I was standing in front of our adobe house drinking a cup of tea. I heard the car drive up and the door shut. Then he walked around the corner, and without warning, he told me that he was having an affair and he wanted a divorce. I remember the sky and how huge it was. I remember the sound of the river and the steam rising up from my tea. There was no time, no thought. There was nothing, just the light and a profound, limitless stillness. Then I regrouped and picked up a stone and threw it at him. Children also describes this as one of her first true spiritual experiences, the beginning of her awakening. Fear and the things we have been through in our lives that have been difficult, terrifying, traumatic in some way, they don't ever really completely leave us. Daniel Spratley writes on fear, "One thing that comes up for me is how fear lives in the body after trauma and how my body feels uneasy in relative safety and love because it's waiting for the next trauma. And so when it comes, it compounds on everything else that lives there and still needs to be exercised. And this turns safety and love into things to be feared because they are distractions from the vigilance my body lives in. It's one way my fear makes my body pliable to trauma and makes connection and belonging seem like danger." This is an incredibly difficult place to be, always waiting for the next terrible thing to happen. For some of us, this is how life has been. And to eventually learn to trust again, to teach our brains what safety feels like, to allow ourselves to experience love despite fear, that is an act of courage. Fears can often manifest in anxiety, as many of us know well. We wonder, will the test results come back okay? Will I still have the job next year? We have no way of knowing any of these answers, but it's natural to wonder and to worry and to turn them over in our mind. It's part of being human, but it's also an opening. Children writes, "Things falling apart is a kind of testing and also a kind of healing. We think that the point is to pass the test or to overcome the problem, but the truth is that things don't really get solved. They come together and they fall apart. They come together again and fall apart again. It's just like that. The healing comes from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, for relief, for misery, for joy. In life, when there's nothing to be done, nowhere to go, we have no choice but to open ourselves to learning new things about ourselves, about those around us. This may seem theoretical, but of course it's not. We are all walking around afraid on some level, maybe more so than we realize. That doesn't mean there isn't goodness to be found. We can learn new ways of coping that we didn't know we needed. In the midst of our fear, we turn to creativity, to community. We somehow find the courage to trust again after hurt and pain. I have come to children's work because I needed it. She describes the present moment as a vulnerable place to be, and I think that's right. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, nothing to do, nothing to busy ourselves with to stop ourselves from feeling. I have been through times in my life where it felt like the bottom was falling out, and I could never put it back together. Like change was coming at me so fast I felt dizzy, and I was trying to grab on to anything to steady me. I have felt the rage of knowing that almost everything is out of my control, much as I would like it to be otherwise. And living through these times has taught me that I am stronger than I think, that the things we think will break us usually don't, and that there were always reminders of goodness if we don't get too bogged down to see them. Reverend Jason Cook writes, "To face our fears is to take heed of the lessons we have learned from being scared. To be truly afraid is to sometimes feel like there's no tomorrow. And yet each person listening to this has been through deep valleys of fear and emerged out the other side. Wiser, stronger perhaps, maybe wounded too. Fear is not without its sharp edges. But when we turn toward the fear in our full selves, wide and tall and strong in the power of all that we are, those sharp edges no longer cut so deep. Indeed, we have the stuff we need to face our fears, the stuff in our spirits that is made of life itself, life's courage and bravery, life's resilience, life's spirit of eternal renewal and blessing." The idea of this focus on the present moment is to, one, keep going. Know that if things are hard now, they will inevitably change. And two, to remember that idea of holding on to what is good. It doesn't mean that everything is good, but that when we sift through our days and our lives, there are enough good things, at least some good things, to hold on to. I try to hold on tight to those and let the rest fall away like sand. I invite you to remain seated and join in singing "Winds Be Still."
Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence come. Peace grace this time with harmony. Fly, bird of hope, and shine, light of love, and in calm find tranquility. Bird fly high, lift our gaze toward distant view, help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far and lead us each to see how we move through the winds of eternity. Light shine in, illuminate our inward view, help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new sounds that become full symphony.
In her book, When Things Fall Apart, Pema Chodron writes, "The first time I met Trungpa Rinpoche was with a class of fourth graders who asked him a lot of questions. One boy asked him if he was ever afraid. Rinpoche answered that his teacher had encouraged him to go places like graveyards that scared him and to experiment with approaching things that he didn't like. Then he told a story about traveling with his attendants to a monastery he'd never seen before. As they neared the gates, he saw a large guard dog with huge teeth and red eyes. It was growling ferociously and struggling to get free from the chain that held it. That dog seemed desperate to attack them. As Rinpoche got closer, he could see its bluish tongue and spittle spraying from its mouth. They walked past the dog, keeping their distance, and entered the gate. Suddenly, the chain broke and the dog rushed at them. The attendants screamed and froze in terror. But Rinpoche turned and ran as fast as he could, straight at the dog. That dog was so surprised that he put his tail between his legs and he ran away. We can meet our match with a poodle or with a raging guard dog, but the interesting question is, what happens next? The spiritual journey involves going beyond hope and fear, stepping into unknown territory, and continually moving forward. The most important aspect of being on the spiritual path may be just to keep moving.
To just keep moving, as Chodron describes, can be easy sometimes and not as easy at others. Right now, it might take a lot to keep moving, or at least to keep moving in what feels like any kind of direction. Reverend Gretchen Haley, in her writings on courage, says that to move forward bravely, it helps to have a sense of reverence. She writes, "It is that moment where you leap from the plane and are held by the sky. When you realize simply by existing you are safe. You belong here in the web of life. In all your beauty and imperfection, you belong here. You are loved and held and seen and known, and you belong." This feeling, that's reverence. We all feel this in different ways. Mine often comes on a solitary walk around sunset, noticing the streaks of pink and orange, or listening to my son say new phrases for the first time, seeing the way he smiles at me and runs into my arms. And in these moments, a vision for the way the world could be seems more clear. I hold on to these good things as a way to keep myself moving forward, even knowing that I am afraid for what the future might hold. These moments of reverence also help us to look fear in the face and say, "So what?" To do it scared. Courage is about speaking the truth of our heart, whether that be to power or just to a friend. Courage is looking for strength to move through another day when grief may be all-consuming, when the silence is so loud. Courage is, at its root, a heart word. It is about telling one's heart. To tell one's heart, to me, is about truth and authenticity, about honesty. Can you show up as you truly are? Is it possible to allow other people to really see you, as uncomfortable as that may feel at times? Can we ask for help when we really need it? Can we be open with one another about the good and the bad parts of life? Can we be honest about our fears? And do we have it in our hearts to keep going anyway? Audre Lorde wrote, "When I dare to use my strength in the service of my vision, it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid." What may be most frightening of all right now is the sense of powerlessness and overwhelm that makes it difficult to cast a vision for the future. And I think that's by design. Those in power want to keep us overwhelmed, tired, disconnected, so that we're unable to really do anything. I don't have magic words or answers for you, much as I wish I did. But what I do know is that now is not the time to disconnect, to allow yourself to lose hope, to let fear stop us from gathering, from doing the things that give us life. What I do know is that all of us need all of us to make it. And I also know that to keep moving forward, we need to try to look for the good. Not to make things good that aren't, or sweep the hard things under the rug. I don't mean that at all. But when there is authentic joy to be found that gives us the sense of reverence, that sense of connection to all the universe, to try to stay there for a minute. Hold it tightly, because that is what can sustain us for the days ahead. That joy, that goodness can help us to act courageously out of love for our families, for the kind of world we want to live in, for the future we believe in. May it be so. Amen. I invite you to rise, either in body or in spirit, for our closing hymn.
Now we gather for the blessings we have known, with a pledge to one another that we journey not alone. Joy and sorrow make us wise to all that lives and dies. Love calls us on. Love calls us on. And deeds of those before us waken here to keep us strong. Blend our voices in the chorus of creation's living song. Courage bids us lift our eyes upward to the shining skies. Hope calls us on. Hope calls us on. Loyal guides in love and duty, lead us with a trusted light. Blessed are those whose inward beauty shows the path of truth and right. Honor is their earthly prize. By their work we realize faith calls us on. Faith calls us on. We have shared a radiant hour when the truth has made us free, and the Spirit's gracious power shows the path of truth and right. Honor is their earthly prize. By their work we realize it calls us on.
have courage this morning and hold on to all that is good. Go in peace.